The first proclamation under awards and presentations is that of National Police Week. If I can have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Harvey.
Second.
Second by, who was that? Commissioner Singfield. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Sheriff, I want to read this proclamation and then present it to you, and you can call up on either of these, whoever you may need to introduce and make comments. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week, and whereas the members of the Houston County Sheriff's Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of Houston County, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the Houston County Sheriff's Department unceasingly provide a vital public service, now therefore, I, Mark Culver, Chairman of the Houston County Commission, call upon all the citizens of Houston County and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 15th through 21st, 2011 as National Police Week in Houston County, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of Houston County to observe Sunday, May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who through their courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice and service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty. And let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Sheriff, I'll present that to you and thank you and through you, your staff, for the service they provide to not only our community but to all citizens that they serve. Comments?
I just always want to make sure that the citizens of Houston County know what type of individuals they have out here working for them on a daily basis. And the men and the women of the Houston County Sheriff's Office do a tremendous job for you, the citizens, on a daily basis. Commissioner Culver said in here that there's some deeds and things that law enforcement officers do, and a lot of these deeds and heroic actions and stuff often go without public notice. It's things that these men and women do on a daily basis. They face danger on a daily basis. Whenever they leave home, they never know if they're going to come back at the end of their shift. And we've had a record number of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty in the United States this year. It's about 45% above what has happened in past years. Some of the reasons for that is we're just living in a more violent society. But these men and women do a great job, a very unselfish job that they do on a daily basis. They don't get paid a whole lot of money. None of us are going to be rich being law enforcement officers, but that's not the reason that we get into law enforcement service either. But today we also want to recognize some Houston County deputies that have given the ultimate sacrifice for the citizens of Houston County throughout the years. Actually, there was a deputy killed in Cowarts in around 1898. But this was prior to Houston County being established in 1903. So we had a deputy killed in the Cowarts area, was shot and killed performing law enforcement duties before Houston County was ever even created by the Alabama legislature. On November 27, 1915, Deputy Sheriff Grady Granger was shot and killed in Dothan while attempting to make an arrest. On August 17, 1916, Deputy Sheriff Lucius Alvin North was killed in the Ardilla area while trying to make an arrest, shot and killed. On December 14, 1969, Deputy Sheriff Investigator Garvis Snellgrove died of a heart attack while responding to a burglary in progress going around the Ross Clark Circle here in Dothan. On October 12, 1980, Deputy Sheriff Lieutenant Fred McLean died of a heart attack shortly after being involved in a fight with a man who was armed with a knife in the Pansy area. Now this morning, and I'm going to ask these family members to stand, we have members of the North, the Snellgrove, and the McLean family here with us today to help pay honor and homage to these deputy sheriffs who gave their lives in service as citizens of Houston County. And I would ask that the family members please stand for us. And I want to personally thank each one of you for the sacrifice that your family member made in the service of citizens of Houston County to keep us all safe. Thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it. I want to say a little something about the Homeland Security deployment. You know, the sacrifices these law enforcement officers make on a daily basis, some of them have made, even went above and beyond that call. These tornadoes that we've had recently in North Alabama, our Homeland Security team, which the Houston County Sheriff's Office is the coordinating team for this whole region, 10 counties here in southeastern Alabama. A couple days after the tornadoes occurred, we deployed a team of 10 Houston County deputies and some other deputies and law enforcement officers from Dothan Police Department, other surrounding agencies in our 10 county region to Limestone County. They stayed on a 4 or 5 day deployment there. They returned home on a Sunday afternoon. Tuesday morning, they called us back and said, "We need you again." Team left out on Wednesday morning, went to Coleman County, got back the end of last week, and they called us again Saturday. They actually wanted our people to come on Saturday because just a lot of lawlessness going on in these areas, and we deployed another team this morning along with other officers from other local agencies in this region, and they left around 9 o'clock this morning, headed to Hackleburg, which is one of the hardest hit areas by the tornadoes. And these deputies, while they've been gone, I mean, they've actually caught some mobile meth labs on the highways in these counties. 2 of my deputies caught some burglars a few nights ago that had burglarized a facility up there that was torn up by the tornadoes and all, but they've really put our people to work, and we appreciate the service of the people that have gone on and helped these other communities. And I'm just really grateful to send them help, because I would a lot rather send them the help than us be the ones asking for the help. But it may be us one day, and we want to make sure that we do what we can for our neighbors, and they may have to return the favor to us one day. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have been very blessed in our community to avoid disasters like this and hurricanes and oil spills and everything else. But, you know, one of these days the odds are going to catch up to us, and we're going to depend on these folks. So there's no question when called that we're going to help our fellow man. Okay, the second item on the agenda is a proclamation for National Corrections Officers Week. Do we have a motion?
Someone.
Motion by Commissioner Harvey.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Battles. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Proclamation reads, whereas the first National Corrections Officers Week was observed in May 1985, and whereas no group of Americans has a more difficult or less publicly visible job than the brave men and women who work in our correctional facilities, and whereas correctional officers must protect inmates from violence from fellow prisoners while encouraging them to develop skills and attitudes that can help them become productive members of society after their release, and whereas the Houston County Jail has 68 men and women who work as corrections deputies, and whereas the Houston County Jail houses men and women who are pretrial detainees as well as those convicted of minor misdemeanor offenses to those convicted of capital offenses and sentenced to death, and whereas their profession requires careful and constant vigilance and the threat of violence is always present, and whereas it is appropriate that we honor the correctional officers for their invaluable contributions to our society, now therefore I, Mark Culver, Chairman of the Houston County Commission, do hereby proclaim the week of May 1st through 7th, 2011 as National Corrections Officers Week in Houston County, and ask that all citizens observe this week and take the time to give thanks to the corrections officers for their dedication and service. Sheriff, I'll again present that to you and ask for your comments. And you know, it hadn't been that long, as that said, 85, but I don't think it's been that long since we have started recognizing this group of individuals, and I think it's certainly fitting that we do, because as the proclamation says, these people have an extremely difficult job. They don't see the light of day. They're not out and about arresting, and we just appreciate the job they do. And I mentioned it Thursday when Butch was here, when Judge Benford, excuse me, was here. We appreciate the judges in lowering the number at the jail so that it eases up a little bit anyway on your corrections officers. So, Sheriff.
Yeah, as the proclamation said, our corrections officers are, a lot of times, they don't get the publicity. Everything that people see in the paper out here or the news, it's always deputies make this arrest or deputies make that arrest or whatever the case may be. But our corrections deputies' jobs are just as important, because all the bad guys we arrest, and the Dothan Police Department, Alabama State Troopers, and by law, the sheriff gets all the felons in the county, and he gets to house all of them in the county jail by Alabama law. So all the bad, truly bad people we arrest, we put in the Houston County Jail. Now, the ones that are not able to make bond, they're there, or they're pre-trial, or they've already been convicted and are waiting to go off to state prisons. And some of these people that are serving misdemeanor sentences are already bad people who have served time in state prisons. Just because they're serving a misdemeanor sentence doesn't mean that they're just writing bad checks or DUIs. Some of these are really bad people also. But our corrections officers do a wonderful job on a daily basis. They're shut up with these inmates. They almost feel like they're in jail themselves. Early on in my career, when I first started out, I was a corrections officer in the county jail for about 6 or 8 months, and it's a very, very tough job. They don't get the headlines, but we need to make sure that everybody knows that the deputies, the sworn deputies, are the ones out here putting these people in jail, but the corrections deputies are the ones that are protecting our society by keeping these bad people locked up and keeping them segregated from the good people in our county. And I would ask you, everybody, if y'all would stand up and give them a hand, please. And I appreciate the commission, all the commission, in recognizing our law enforcement officers and our corrections deputies today, and keep these people in your thoughts and your prayers throughout the year, not just on law enforcement or corrections Memorial Week. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you very much.